Is there anything better than a steaming bowl of pasta? I think not. But wait, isn't pasta made up of evil fat-producing carbs? Oh honey, you don't know what you're missing if you've taken pasta off your plate. Let's get back to the cutting board and the pasta pot today on Christina Cooks.
Underwriting for Christina Cooks is provided by Suzanne's Specialties, offering a full line of alternative vegan and organic sweeteners and toppings. Suzanne's Specialties. Sweetness the way Mother Nature intended. Additional funding is also provided by Old Yankee Cutting Boards, designed for durability and custom crafted by hand with Yankee pride and craftsmanship. Jonathan Spoons, individually handcrafted from cherry wood, each designed with your hand and purpose in mind. Additional funding is also provided by...
Hi, I'm Christina Perello and this is Christina Cooks, where each week we will make fabulous dishes from the most wonderful seasonal whole ingredients. Will it all be plant-based? Yup. Will it all be yummy? Yup. So we're going to talk today about pasta, which is one of the great loves of my life. I can't imagine a week without pasta. And I know there's a lot of people who consider pasta to be one of the evil carbs, but we're going to talk about ways to make it a healthy addition to any table. And we're going to start by making a soup, which is known in Italy as pasta e fagioli, or if you're from South Philly, the Bronx, or New Jersey, where I'm from, pasta fagioli, which makes my ears bleed. So let's call it pasta e fagioli. Celery? Okay. So we're going to start with extra virgin olive oil into a pan that has not been heated, right? You've all heard me say this a million times. Put your oil in the pan and then turn on the flame. Olive oil can be cooked to high heat, but if you want the flavor of olive oil, you start with it cold and then bring your heat in. We're going to add to that some red onion and some garlic. The minute you turn that oil on, you have to get your first vegetables in there pretty quick so it doesn't become too hot. So we're going to add our onion. So you need to be quick with your knife. You know what I mean? Quick with your knife. If you're not quick with your knife, don't turn the oil on until you're ready. Then we're going to take garlic and smash it to release the essential oils and the flavors. Now, garlic is more than just the dramatic herb that gives us high opera. It's antifungal, antibacterial, it boosts immune function, it's delicious, it waxes your car. Paying attention? Okay. So, in goes the garlic. You hear that lovely sizzle building now. Now, this is going to be a bean soup, right? It's pasta e fagioli. Fagioli is beans. So just a tiny pinch of salt to sweeten the onions. What you don't want to do is put a ton of salt in when you're making a bean soup. Otherwise, the beans won't get soft. Or they'll get kind of partly soft, partly hard, and the soup is moderately gruesome. Okay. So we're going to saute these just until they're translucent and you don't smell a really strong onion smell. You want to make sure that your onions are sweet. If you cheat yourself at this point when you're making soup, what happens is your soup tastes only like onions. What you want to do is make sure that your soup has a sweet taste. The job of soup is to relax the middle organs, spleen, pancreas, and stomach, so that you can receive the rest of the meal and digest it. So, you want to make sure your onions are sweet. Once they're translucent, we'll add some diced celery and some diced carrot. Now you can at this point add another little pinch of salt, but I tend to err to the side of maybe I shouldn't so my beans get soft. And once they're shiny with oil, which takes, 30 seconds, then we'll add in our dried herbs. So we have some dried basil and some dried rosemary. And now suddenly, your sauté smells like an Italian garden in July. It's magnificent. When I was a kid, my mother made this soup for my father every Friday night. And I would sit at the table and pick out every single bean so that I just had pasta and veggies. It didn't matter that the soup was cold and oily when I was done. I was not eating those beans. If my mother was alive, she'd be like, really? Really with the beans? Okay. So now we're going to add a diced zucchini. And with zucchini, I tend to take the little top and bottom off, just to give myself some sweetness, and so it doesn't have a tough ending on it. So you're going to take the zucchini, cut it into spears, and then because soup is meant to be sweet, you want to cut the spears in half again. The smaller your dice, the sweeter your soup. It's just one of those little tricks that people who make great soup know. And if your soup doesn't have little tiny pieces, it won't be quite as satisfying. It's not a deal breaker, but it's just another good excuse to get good with your knife. In goes our zucchini. One little stir. A bit of canned diced tomatoes. If tomatoes are in season, you can use them fresh, dice them and throw them in, or you can just use canned tomatoes. You want to get the lycopene and the vitamin C that come from tomatoes, and because these were canned, you don't get any of the alkaloids that cause arthritis to become worse. So you get all the benefit of the lycopene because there's olive oil in the soup, so you digest it better and assimilate it better, but you don't get any of the downsides of what we know as nightshades, okay? The next thing to go in are cannellini beans. These are white Italian kidney beans, and they cook up so creamy and rich and lovely that you just want to turn them into gelato if you possibly could. So those are going to go into our soup. You can use canned ones to make this process faster. Your soup's ready in 20 minutes. And then we'll add water. And the soup will cook covered for about 30 minutes. So once you add your beans, then you're going to cover it. If the beans are dried, this will cook for about an hour. If the beans are canned, you'll have soup in about 15 minutes. So we're going to let this cook and then boil the pasta and stir that in. So the soup is ready. It's fully cooked. And in this pan, I have pasta cooking. When we make pasta fagioli at home with my mother when we were kids, she always cooked the pasta separately so it didn't overcook and become starchy. It's genius. Italians cook pasta super al dente. You would eat it in America and go, the Italians know how to cook pasta. But the truth is, they do know how to cook it. And by cooking it super al dente, it's not an insulin trigger. That's why Italians eat pasta morning, noon, and night and look like, oh, I don't know, Sophia Loren. So the pasta's going to cook for maybe 6 minutes. You're going to take it out of the salted water right into the soup. You want that little bit of starch to help your soup have some body. So we're going to scoop it out. You can see it's not quite finished, and that's good. Scoop it right out. Take starch and everything right into your soup. And now we're just about ready to finish it off. I'm going to come over here. This is broccoli rabe. Broccoli rabe is the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th wonder of the world. It's a bitter green. It's supposed to be bitter. Please don't boil it before you cook it, please. You saute it. It's supposed to be bitter. If you get your broccoli rabe from the store and you notice there's little splits on the ends, please cut those stems off because they'll be a little bit too bitter. Then we're going to chop it into bite-sized pieces. It's going to go right into the soup with the pasta. A tiny bit of salt. We're going to give it a stir. And now you have what we call in South Philly pasta fagioli, but that we know in the real world is known as pasta e fagioli. Bravo. Okay.